In case you all haven't heard about what's going down in Florida, and I'm not talking about the hurricane, we'll get to that part, but we're talking about the gasoline, the fuel. It was reported that gasoline had been contaminated with diesel fuel. Now people are thinking that there's no coincidence that this thing had occurred, as there is a hurricane approaching Florida, one that's going to be supposedly so devastating that they might have to evacuate. Let's hear what the Floridians of TikTok has to say about this situation.
Listen at this, you guys.
Triple threat.
Human error.
This is the Hurricane Idalia will be a hurricane when it hits Florida. Hurricane Franklin is intensified, but I said triple threat. Cars may stop working mid-evacuation due to fuel contamination. If you gassed up somewhere between Fort Myers and Tampa Bay in the last 24 hours, at a BJ's Wholesale, a 7-Eleven, or a Handy Food, at 30 separate locations,
30,
affecting at least 500 to 1,000 plus customers right this second, there's diesel in your fuel.
and your car is
Gasoline in a regular gas-powered car, it will kill your engine. Your hope is it just stops your engine.
that's your hope.
But it may potentially destroy your
Exactly.
engine. Governor Ron DeSantis, on his campaign to fail at becoming the President of the United States, said, "That sucks," and offered absolutely no other guidance to the people that have been affected. People that went home and tested it inside their generators destroyed their generators.
Yep.
Florida is moving an emergency amount of gas very quickly down into the affected areas. But that's not going to help the hundreds, if not thousands, of customers that are currently going to be affected.
Not in the slightest.
And if the hurricanes become so bad that an emergency evacuation is necessary,
In case you're
that's all
asking
the
about it.
guidance I can give you. Because Florida is going to supply gasoline. And that's all the information that they're giving. My entire family and most of my friends are still in Florida. And I'm aware that it was human error, but this is going to people having need.
I wish she would shut up. I'm trying to hear this man.
Needless problems because of a human error.
You know what kind of
This
fuel
is
you're
check
trolling?
where you gas
You don't talk over somebody. You pause them first, please. Gosh, lady.
up last.
And the hoses are color
especially
coordinated.
from Tampa
Human
to
error.
Fort Myers
My
in the last 24
God. Pause the video first, lady, before you talk. She could have did that.
24 hours.
Did anybody else notice yesterday on the news when they were talking about this hurricane Idalia that's going to hit right at Tampa? Did anybody watch them say that the government told every citizen of Tampa, Florida, to go to the gas station and fill up their car with at least halfway yesterday? But then later it comes out that 29 gas stations, 29 of the most prominent gas stations where people went and filled up with gas, had contaminated gas that was contaminated with diesel fuel.
So that goes to show you that there was possibly even more people that went out and got fuel. They told everybody to go get fuel because this hurricane was coming. When there's a panic and they tell people to do something like that, what do people do? They go to the gas station even if they had no intentions on going to the gas station. So that means triple, if not quadruple, the amount of people who would have went actually went. And now these people won't know if their vehicle is part of the issue until they have to pull over on the side of the road because the car's smoking.
Conspiracy? I think not. At this rate, the rate we're going, a conspiracy theory is just 6 months premature of becoming true. They're all coming true. It's scary to think that our government, I've been through several hurricanes.
Now you ask, what is the conspiracy that she's speaking of right now? Because she didn't say much. The conspiracy is the idea that they deliberately did this so that it will be impossible for a significant amount of people to evacuate Florida if need be. And that's not where the conspiracy ends. I'm gonna let these other people elaborate.
Living in Georgia, people come up here to where I live and they stay in hotels and we wind up being packed anytime there's a hurricane, and then people go back down. But I have never, ever heard of this happening. And there's still people out there that think that Maui was not caused by the government. If you do, okay, whatever. I can't convince you any more than what everybody else has tried to convince people. But please explain to me how this is just something that just happened. It just happened. Not that our government wanted everybody to be stranded on the freaking highway when this thing hits because so they can blow out some more people. They are trying to dispose of us because they want to create smart cities and smart worlds, and we are disposable to them. But come September 1st, I hope and I pray that all of us that are tired of being sick and tired shows them the power in numbers, in our numbers, in standing united behind one common goal. And I can tell you, there are people coming together, white, brown, Hispanic. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter where you come from. We are all tired of being sick and tired.
Is the government trying to trap people in Florida? Is the government trying to prevent you from escaping? Is the government trying to make your car stall and you get stuck in a major hurricane with catastrophic storm surge and a depopulation attempt?
In a depopulation attempt. That's the other part of the conspiracy.
Major hurricane is going to strike northwestern Florida, just south of Tallahassee, and push in life-threatening storm surge, widespread wind damage, winds of 110 to potentially 120 miles per hour, strong coastal flooding, and widespread wind damage. And just as these people are trying to prepare, just as these people are trying to get out and evacuate, fortunately or conveniently, gas stations' gas has been contaminated with diesel fuel, potentially ruining engines and stalling out cars and leaving thousands of tens of thousands of people stranded in Florida just as they're trying to evacuate from this hurricane. Is the government trying to depopulate? Is the government trying to have some kind of catastrophic death event take place like what happened in Maui, where people were barricaded, roads were blocked, and people incinerated to death in the fires?
A lot of people are comparing this incident down in Florida in the hurricane and what the government could be doing to what happened in Maui. Watch this.
I want everybody to take a look at this. There's 2, 4, 6, 8 of these. These are Bullocks. These are meant to bolt down, and there's 8 of them. All right, this interstate right here, this is 408 East Toll. This is Central Florida, down in Orlando. At every intersection of this overpass, they have a pile of these right here. And you can't tell me this is not made for blocking the road. Is this going to be a wall, basically, where you can't get underneath it and can't get through from north to south? This whole stretch of 408, literally from east to west, in Orlando here, has got the pile of Bullocks here. And
you heard that? He said it's a whole stretch basically of highway that has those Bullocks. It sounds like he's saying to prevent people from potentially escaping on the highway or fleeing or evacuating. I don't know how true this is. It's all conspiracy, but if it were true, that would be crazy.
honestly, I think they're going to seal this off. They're right over in there underneath the overpass. They got a strip of concrete they just did underneath the overpass where they got bolt holes for the Bullocks to literally close off the overpass, the underpass right there. There is literally enough for those, and on the other side there's another 8. Every overpass has a pile of these.
Every overpass? Interesting. Now check this out.
I'm not tripping, y'all. Like, I know I'm not tripping. Like, I just know I'm not tripping. Like, bro. Man, you got me up. Man, what the?
What she thinks she's seeing here is in the hood. She says in the hood. Where are these coffins coming from? Like, why do they look like they're meant to be the new homes for a ton of people who may pass away at any moment now. These concrete coffins. And would you look at this building here? This is a Freemason lodge. What's going on in Florida?
They tell residents there's a hurricane coming. Hurry, hurry, go to the gas station, fill up your tanks now. So the people go fill their tanks up, only to later learn that the gas has been contaminated with diesel fuel. You know what happens when you put diesel in a regular engine, right? It doesn't run very long, very far. So here comes the hurricane. These people are going to try to evacuate. They'll get on the interstates and highways and byways in Florida, and their vehicles will suddenly die. This is the ingredients for mass casualty event. Here's my question. I'm wondering, since the authorities are aware of the gas contamination, what are they doing right now? Are they ready in many buses, thousands of buses, to get these people and their families out of harm's way? Or will we watch a mass casualty event? Picture being stuck on the highway in the Florida summer heat, subtropical, 110 degrees with 100% humidity, with your child, your pet, your elderly mother, grandparents, or whatever, or just yourself. Now let's see how Florida responds to avert the avoidable.
I want y'all to listen closely to what this man has to say.
Well, I didn't think this was going to be my first ever TikTok post, but I just want to put this information out there. I am a licensed ship captain. I have a 200-ton license with a towing endorsement. I have personally spent 16 years on the water working. Any other captain, tankerman, deckhand, mate, any of them can verify what I'm saying. Ask any of them. And I don't know where you're at. I haven't seen a single video about anybody else that works on the water. So one barge of oil is 198 feet long by 35 feet wide and 35 feet to 40 feet deep. Okay? There's 500,000 gallons of oil in a single inland barge. Okay? You know, the process to pump fuel off of that barge is so strict that even if a teaspoon of that oil or that fuel spills into the water or out of the hose, the Coast Guard is called and there's a huge report and an incident made. Does that happen? Sometimes is there a tankerman that's taken off the freaking fuel line and he didn't blow it out good enough? Blow it out means you run air through it to flush out all the liquid before you disconnect the freaking line. But sometimes there's like a drop, literally an eyedropper drop of, we're talking this much fuel hits the water. And yes, sometimes, most of the time, that's just left alone. Because why would you make an incident out of that? You don't accidentally mix diesel and gasoline and then deliver it to gas stations all over the country. I'm sure, I worked in the maritime industry. I guarantee that on land with these truckers and these tanker drivers and these guys working on the interstates, their process is just as strict as ours. Guaranteed. You don't just, I spilled, and then the amount, let's think about the amount of fuel. The amount of gasoline and diesel that would have to be mixed together would be millions. I mean, millions of, one barge holds 500,000 gallons. It's 500,000 gallons. Just one barge.
What I'm getting from this video is human error? BS. If there was a cross-contamination of diesel fuel and gasoline, it was done deliberately. Allegedly. Don't come after me.
Yo, I'm just so incredibly sick and tired of our government. And I think at this point they know that the majority of its citizens are awake and aware to what they're doing, because it makes me wonder, honestly, if they intentionally did something to the gasoline so that the people in Florida will literally be trapped and have to suffer through the hurricane that they probably made. So I'm just wondering, at what point are we just not going to do anything? And I know there's a strike on September 1st, but I think, I don't know, there's questions about that. So I don't know at what point, because I think this is obvious. This is so obvious.
Look, y'all, I don't got much more to add to it. I'm gonna let another video run after this, after I'm done saying what I'm saying, but people are fed up. People are fed up, and people are no longer trusting in our government and no longer believing anything that they tell us. It's like if they can't see it with their own two eyes, they do not believe it. But anyway, leave your thoughts, comments, and opinions down below, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. See ya.
Well, as a fuel up ahead of possible impacts from this storm, state leaders are now warning about contaminated fuel.
Yeah, they say Citgo gasoline from the Port of Tampa could contain diesel fuel. 8 on your side's Beth Rousseau joining us live with a way to know if you are affected by this. Good morning, Beth.
Hey, Avery and Chris, a really unfortunate time for this to happen because filling up your cars and your generators is such a common part of storm prep. Now, here at the Citgo at 92 and Falkenberg Road, they actually have signs posted on the pumps. Now, state leaders say that if you fueled up at a station supplied by Citgo at Port Tampa after 10 a.m. on Saturday, there's a good chance that your gas is contaminated. At the Port of Tampa, a mistake could mean problems for many during prep for Idalia.
Basically, it was just human error. They put diesel in tanks that were supposed to be regular gas.
Families who fueled up at stations supplied by Citgo could have gasoline contaminated with diesel, according to leaders with the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. They say it's a potentially widespread issue.
Sometimes that happens in these storms. The issue with the Port of Tampa is one that could complicate this. It has nothing to do with the storm, but it's happening right on the eve of the storm.
More than 24 stations are impacted by the error. At least 13 of them are here in the Tampa Bay area. If you fueled up at the locations after 10 o'clock Saturday morning, there's a chance your gas is contaminated. It could cause your cars or generators to stop working correctly.
I want to ensure Floridians that we are coordinating here at the EOC with everyone from petroleum retailers to the ports themselves to ensure that the disruption will not be widespread or prolonged and that residents can have seamless access to fuel.
Stations have been notified and told to stop selling gas until the contaminated fuel is replaced and the tanks are cleaned. So back out here live at the Citgo, it looks pretty busy, and don't get me wrong, trucks can get diesel fuel, but apart from that, no gasoline is being sold here. Now, if you think you might have gotten gas from one of the impacted stations, go ahead, go to the WFLA app. We have a complete list there of all the stations that are impacted and the next steps that you need to take moving forward. We're live in Hillsborough County this morning. Beth Rousseau, 8 on your side.